Hello, everyone. ARPA merchandise, living not by fear. Next week is Life Week, 6,000 postcards, and being more than a visitor in long-term care in Ontario. It is Wednesday, May 5th, and this is Quick Updates. Now, before we get to anything else, the ARPA merchandise store is open. You can check it out at store.arpacanada.ca, closing May 15th, so do not miss out. Now, while we're thinking of this message, God keep our land glorious and free, Mark has a message for us, living not by fear.
Colin, I know I'm not alone in being worried about the future of Canada in light of all that's happened this past year. It's a mess, but just as this is a time to live not by lies, Scripture also urges us to live not by fear. Just a couple nights ago in our family devotions, we came to Numbers 13. You'll remember this. It's when the Israelites, they finished their trek from Egypt. They're on the verge of entering the promised land. God told them, I'm giving it to you. But when some of the men started traveling through Canaan and they saw just the size of the people and the size of the cities, they reported back and they said, we're not going to be successful. These people are stronger than we are. And fear just started to spread. Not long later, all the people despaired. They decided they'd even rather go back to slavery than embrace the future God promised them. But one of the spies, Caleb, he had a different response. He saw the same challenges, but his conclusion was, let's go up at once and occupy it. We're able to overcome. That's because his confidence wasn't in himself or in the people, but it was in God who promised this land to them. Now, I'm not sharing this because I think God has promised Canada or the Western world to us. In fact, I believe the Western civilization is committing a type of suicide. I'm not optimistic about the future of this nation. But that doesn't mean we have a reason to fear or despair, because God's kingdom isn't dependent on the secular nation of Canada or the US or Britain. God's kingdom is steadily advancing, and nothing that our prime minister or judges do can stop his advance. We shouldn't be so surprised when the world is hostile to God's kingdom. This antithesis between the seed of the serpent, the seed of the woman, it's continued since the fall into sin. This is nothing new, and we already know the outcome. Christ has won the victory. These developments are not evidence that Satan's forces are getting the upper hand in Canada. Rather, it's evidence that what God says in his word is as true in 2021 as it was when it was written. So why bother still getting involved in politics in this world? Well, it's kind of simple. God has put us where we are in this time and place, and he calls us still to image him in this world, shining his love and his grace. He hasn't written the world off. Neither should we. In fact, we have an amazing opportunity right now to testify. So let's not miss this opportunity because we're so busy being worried or fearful. Back to you, Colin.
Thanks so much, Mark. You can find Mark's article, Live Not by Fear, a call to exude hope amidst a COVID-infatuated world, at arpacanada.ca. It's the second year in a row that Life Week will look different than in the past. Here's Levi.
Hey everyone. So next week is Life Week. And although COVID restrictions make it impossible for us to have provincial marches for life, we still encourage you to march for life in your neighborhood next week. So next Thursday, May 13th, we encourage you to don some pro-life apparel. If you have some, grab a sign and start getting out the message that preborn lives do matter. They do need protection. So do that on May 13th, but don't just limit it to that day. The entire week, we encourage you to grab some chalk, write something on your driveway, put up some pro-life signs in your window, get out the message that we need to protect human life. So that's next week. We hope that you'll join ARPA and We Need a Law to protect preborn human rights. Back to you, Colin.
Thanks so much, Levi. Ed is here with more on our provincial postcard campaigns.
Hey, thanks, Colin. Well, not 1,000, not 2,000, not 3,000, not 4,000, not 5,000, but 6,000 postcards and counting ordered so far for Let the Church Be the Church campaign. And you know what we love so much about this, folks, is that by God's grace, our grassroots, you, our grassroots, are demonstrating three things: respect for authority, winsome messaging, and a love for the Church of Jesus Christ. We have those on the legal side of things that are sending respectful messages, appreciating the role, the sphere, the authority of government, but also reminding government of the sphere and the authority of the Church. We have those who are writing thoughtful messages about how the Church longs to fulfill her calling to acts of mercy and hospitality and caring for the elderly and so forth. And then we have those who are sending a simple message about their love for the Church of Jesus Christ. Out of the mouth of babes, as they say, a young boy saying, I want to be in church because I want to see my friends. Well, how great is that? So please keep those three things in mind: respect for authority, winsome messaging, and also just showing a love for the Church of Jesus Christ. Let the church be the church. Click here for some background info, some recommendations on messaging, and also how to order more postcards. Back to you, Colin.
Thanks so much, Ed. And finally, Ryan joins us.
Thanks, Colin. Now, one pillar of ARPA Canada is that we are a nonpartisan organization, and that simply means that when we encounter good initiatives, it doesn't matter which party is behind it. We'll support it, and that's the case with NDP MPP Lisa Gretzky's bill, the More Than a Visitor Act. This bill would require the Ontario government to create a plan to safely reintegrate designated caregivers that were once excluded due to the pandemic back into all care homes. It would also ensure that we are prepared that if we're faced with a similar situation, we'd avoid banning visitors, including those who are active participants in the care and support of a loved one. Now, for obvious reasons, this bill was supported by all parties before being sent to the Committee for Social Policy. Unfortunately, this bill has stalled out in the committee for the last number of months. We feel this bill ought to be dealt with in a timely manner, as this issue is so important and it remains an ongoing one. So if you're in Ontario, head over to EasyMail, send your MPP a message in support of this bill. Encourage them to do what they can to see to it that this bill is studied in the committee soon. If you're not in Ontario, consider reaching out to your MPP or MLA and encourage them to bring this forward in a similar bill in your province. Back to you, Colin.
Thanks so much, Ryan. That's it for quick updates this week. Thanks to you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.